the Jews to facilitate setting up a Jewish national homeland in Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a very
Exactly.
crucial distinction because it doesn't talk about, as Ariel Sharon did in the latest speech he gave to the UN, he spoke of the Jewish rights to Palestine, and that's not what it said. It said in Palestine. At the same time, the Balfour Declaration said that without prejudicing the opinions or attitudes or sentiments of the, and this is really a crucial phrase, the non-Jewish population of Palestine. And I think that phrase in and of itself suggests a lot about how the British saw the Arabs and how they saw the Zionists, because after all, the Zionists were also Europeans.
Sure.
And so they could relate to them easier, and they felt it was easier, it would be easier to have other Europeans in Palestine than the Arabs in terms of securing what they saw as their strategic interests.
Right, and also as a result of World War I, actually, we start seeing a lot of migration. Jews were migrating into Palestine at that time, where even up to 1946, we start seeing the Jews were about 608,000, where the Palestinians have increased by 1.25 million at that time.
You don't really, though, see really massive European Jewish migration to Palestine until, of course, the Second World War and the Holocaust.
Right. But those, I'm talking about the World War I, it was a lot of secret migrations too.
There was secret migration, but again, I think it's interesting to speculate, had we not had the Second World War, had we not had the Holocaust that decimated Europe's Jewish population, would the problem have taken the form that it has today? I sincerely doubt that, because most Jews at the beginning of World War II saw themselves as French or German or Polish, really, and had come out of the ghettos and in many places. So I think it's fairly easy to argue that at least the shape of the problem would not have taken on the form that it did had we not had the Holocaust in Europe.
But that led to the 1947. In 1947, they were divided into two states. You know, it was Palestine and Israel.
Right.
They were divided into two states, which led at the end of World War II to, 1948. Now, it was openly the British evacuated from what's known.
The British tipped their hands
1948,
because,
exactly.
But also remember, the British had, in the 30s, there was a revolt, a Palestinian revolt against the British, and the British had crushed the leadership of that revolt, which was very important to securing the state of Israel at a later point in time, because a lot of the leadership and the forces, the Arab forces in Palestine, had been decimated by that revolt during the 30s.
So the creation of the State of Israel, it did occur in 1948. Then in 1949, we noticed that actually the whole state, which is Palestine in 1949, actually was divided into three different states. One is the State of Israel, and one is the occupied the West Bank, which it was actually became under the Jordanian Authority or government, and also Gaza, which became under the Egyptian government or the Egyptian Authority until 1967, the war, when the Palestinians, or you could say the Arabs, actually lost more lands.
It was the Arabs that lost it, and actually it was the 67 war that really, in many ways, was the catalyst for the PLO becoming this mass organization, because the message the Palestinians took of the 1967 war was that we cannot depend on the other Arab countries to, at that time, liberate the land. We cannot depend on them. We have to turn to ourselves.
And the ones who fought in the 1967 war, actually, Egypt, Jordan, and Syria.
Syria, that's correct.
So on behalf of Palestine or on behalf of Palestine, that was a very, very short summary of what has happened between, I'll say, 1889 and 1948 to 1967. What about today? I mean, are we going to have a solution?
Well, I think today things are really wretched. I think
Okay.
the condition is wretched. I think it's very hard right now to think about any kind of solution, and I don't think most people who are serious scholars of the Middle East believe there will be a solution during this period of time. They do not believe, I don't see a U.S. government that is prepared to exercise the political will to create a solution, and I don't think anyone believes that the current Israeli government is at all prepared to even come to the negotiating table.
To confirm